Who would have thought that a beautiful African woman would travel all the way to the countryside of China to become a housewife? Through her own efforts, she gained more than 12 million fans across the internet. She not only speaks fluent Chinese, but she's learned how to cook dishes from all over China. Many netizens were amazed after watching her videos. They joked that they never expected to learn Chinese cooking from an African woman. From Mapo tofu to chopped fish head, even traditional foods many Chinese people rarely make, Rose has mastered them all. Rose has been a housewife for many years. Now Rose has lived in China for 12 years. How are Rose and her husband doing? Black Pearl girl Rose went to China for love 12 years ago. She was born in 1993. Because Uganda's economy is relatively underdeveloped, the status of women is often not very high. On top of that, Rose's family had many daughters, and they couldn't earn much money, so life was difficult. Later, by chance, Rose entered a Chinese company. She cherished the opportunity and worked harder and more seriously than anyone else. Her efforts were quickly recognized by her Chinese supervisors, and she made many good friends. One of them was a Chinese girl who would later introduce Rose to her future husband. At first, when her best friend introduced her cousin, Jianyun, Rose wasn't very willing. She heard he was 10 years older than her, and her family didn't want her dating a foreign man. But her friend kept encouraging her, saying that even though her cousin was older, he was a good man who cared for his family. The family wasn't rich, but he was capable, and his living conditions were still better than what Rose had back home in Uganda. Eventually, Rose agreed to meet him. She didn't expect that the two of them would get along so well online, so in 2015, Rose came to China from Uganda for love. At that time, 32-year-old Jianyun went to the airport early, waiting for the young woman from Africa. They didn't know each other well yet, and the unfamiliar environment and language made things hard. Rose felt very lonely in the beginning. Wanting her to adapt faster, Jianyun took her to many cities in China: Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, and more. The warm people and deep cultural history slowly made Rose fall in love with the country. With Jianyun's help, she learned to communicate in Chinese within 3 months. It was clear that Rose was a very smart woman. After about half a year of dating, Jianyun proposed, and in 2017 they got married. Rose officially became a Chinese daughter-in-law. Their relationship was good after marriage, and soon they welcomed their miracle of love. They named their son Zian, though the family always called him Anzai. This sweet little boy, with his dark skin and curly hair, looked just like Rose. After marriage, Rose was a caring daughter-in-law. She learned to help her husband with chores and cook Chinese dishes whenever she had time. Later, to support the family, she began working with her husband. Their son, still small at the time, was temporarily cared for by relatives. But when Anzai became ill, Rose had no choice but to return home to the countryside to look after him. Since getting married, life wasn't luxurious, but it was happy. Then, by accident, Rose discovered short video platforms. From then on, everything changed. The public got to know this hard-working, kind African woman building a life in China. Netizens were drawn to her. Many commented that she was the first dark-skinned woman they ever genuinely liked. People described her as clean, neat, kind-hearted, hard-working, and a loving mother. Her popularity also brought doubt. Some questioned whether Rose had been tricked into coming to China. In some remote rural areas, it's hard for poor men to find a bride, and some marry women from other countries. So netizens' worries weren't completely unfounded. To address the rumors, her husband, Jianyun, appeared on camera. In real life, he is shy, quiet, and doesn't talk much, but he takes great care of his wife. The cheerful Rose and the serious Jianyun were like a perfectly balanced pair, the lively African girl and the steady Chinese man. Jianyun adored his wife. He always smiled when watching her playful expressions. Their sweetness was impossible to fake, and many netizens said so. Every day when Jianyun came home from work, he brought fresh ingredients from the market for Rose, then taught her how to cook different Chinese dishes. Even though the couple wasn't wealthy, he tried his best to make Rose's life warm and happy. Rose, too, wasn't doing all the chores alone anymore. She would call her husband to help, and the smile on her face grew more natural. Whenever Rose came home from outside, the first thing she would do was shout his name, "Wu Xiangyu, your wife is back!" Netizens loved her cheerful voice. Everyone who met Rose said she carried a happy smile every day. Even her best friend teased her, saying, "Wow, Rose, your husband is so nice. I don't have to start the fire today. Lucky you can do it." Rose would joke back, "Keep your voice down. She'll make me lose face later." Rose was always so cute, speaking with her charming accent. Her catchphrases were copied by thousands of followers, and many people imitated her voice in the comments. One day, Jianyun suddenly suggested taking her measurements. The village was taking commemorative photos, and he wanted to buy Rose a cheongsam, a traditional Chinese dress. Another morning, Rose hadn't eaten yet and was preparing to cook her husband's favorite polo. She asked how many he wanted, and he replied, "Oh no, I forgot to bring you breakfast. I don't deserve to eat today." Because he felt guilty for forgetting her breakfast, he joked about not deserving his own meal. Their mutual care made people smile. Slowly, their simple, loving daily life made the rumors fade away. Everyone began to admire how lucky Rose was to have such a good husband. Rose wasn't just blessed in love. She was also surrounded by deep friendship. She had two best friends, Yingzi and Meiji. The three of them often went out together, shopping, chatting, and cooking. Whenever Rose needed them, they were always there. She was warm, thoughtful, and easy to like, which is why so many people were drawn to her. Netizens even joked that Rose had a way of making people jealous, but in a good, light-hearted way. When she and her friends shopped together, Rose would bargain just like any local. The shopkeepers were always amazed. Her routine was the same every time. If the seller didn't lower the price, she walked away, and within seconds, they'd call her back. Her friends loved it. They said Rose had become a true Chinese daughter-in-law. Now, after 12 years in China, Rose was no longer just a girl from Africa. She had learned the ways of Chinese life. She understood the traditions, both big and small. She knew that people gathered to eat during festivals, and she always brought gifts to her friends during the New Year. Whenever she cooked something delicious, she invited her friends over. She didn't just give food. She wanted them to share it with her. In her videos, Rose often visited strawberry farms or vegetable sheds to pick fresh produce. Many times the vendors refused to let her pay, telling her to just take the food. Rose would smile and pretend to agree, saying, "Okay, I'll take it away." But she never left without secretly slipping the money by the door. She didn't want to take advantage of anyone. Because of her incredible cooking skills, people started calling her the African Ziqi. Every dish she made, from fermented tofu to handmade pastries and sugar-coated fruit, looked delicious. There seemed to be nothing she couldn't cook. Even the vegetable vendors joked that Rose could turn anything into a feast. Rose also shared her food with neighbors, earning their love and admiration. Her hard-working hands and creative mind helped her quickly become a well-known creator. The story of Rose, an African girl building a life in rural China, moved countless people. 12 years passed, and she was still just as happy. Her life with Jianyun was full of warmth and stability. Many said she was truly blessed. She had left her homeland through her own determination, married a humble but kind man, and built a life filled with love. She had a healthy, adorable child, a devoted husband, and a community that cared deeply about her. People admired her story not only because she found love, but because she worked hard to create a better life. She proved that even an ordinary girl from far away, with a small frame and a big heart, could find happiness in a foreign land and shine brightly in her own way.